We welcome in the starting linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nigel Bradham, kind enough to join us for his Nigel Bradham Weekly Report. Nigel, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So I'll make it 9 in a row right now, 10-1 by virtue of the 24-3 win over the Chicago Bears. I know when we spoke last week, we talked a little bit about young quarterback Trubisky and kind of getting to him a little bit, rattling him. But I thought going in, obviously, you guys had a key first and foremost on the Bears' rushing attack, and you guys shut them down.
Yeah, we knew going into the game that we was gonna have to stop the run.
When you watch a game like that yesterday, it kind of was, you kind of get these different, the ebb and flow, the feel of a game, some turnovers early by you guys, but then the Bears didn't really pose any type of offensive threat. I called it a go outside and rake the yard kind of day because it seemed as though no matter what, you know where I'm going with it, you guys never lost any control of this game in spite of some of those early turnovers because you went into the locker room 24-0. And I know coming out, there were some things I think defensively you guys might want to clean up, but I just never got the feeling, especially when Chicago missed that field goal, that they were ever going to be a threat offensively.
Right. I'm getting an echo.
Go ahead. You there? We'll see if we can, hold on. We'll see if we can fix that real quick, Nigel. You there? Go ahead. See if that better?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Yeah, so yesterday, we knew we was going to have to stop the run, and then after that, it was like pretty much just making them even more one-dimensional because they got behind real fast. And that was our whole key, was to make them play from behind because we wanted to put the pressure on Trubisky and let our D-line go eat and just have a day. And that's really what ended up happening.
I had to go back, and I was looking at some of the stats, though. The fact that you guys you didn't even give up a first down in the first half. I mean, have you ever played in a game defensively where you flat out just shut down a team offensively in the first half like that? Can you recall a game like that?
No, that was definitely the first time. And to hold them to what we did in the rushing in the first half, especially, I mean, the whole game is incredible. The 6 rushing yards, I believe, that was incredible, especially for the top five rushing team in the league. I mean, I haven't seen that, man, and I think that shows you that we're a special team. We're special. This is just a special year for us.
We've talked about it for the last several weeks, how the defense is really starting to gel and hit on all cylinders. And look, you guys, you're never going to apologize who's on the schedule. You have to go out. Guys are prideful. They're going to play. We talked about this last week. Guys are now gunning for you. The Philadelphia Eagles right now, they're the hunted. They're not the hunters anymore. But again, the numbers are just ridiculously gaudy. They finish with the Bears finished with their fewest rushing yards in 65 years. I mean, think about that for a minute. You got to go back to 52, and it was the fewest rushing yards you guys have allowed in 71 years. And I think you've only given up a 100-yard rusher this year, and that was Dallas. I mean, so it seems every week you guys are priding yourself not only keeping teams out of the end zone, but really shutting down, their strengths.
Yeah, and that's the motivation we have during the week. We like to take on that challenge. We knew we were going against one of the best teams that ran the football in the league, and they actually are really good at running the football. Even on tape, if you watch it on tape, they was hitting some teams. But we were just focused, man, and wanting to shut that down. We didn't want to lose sight of this game, and that was one of the things. Everybody was saying this is a trap game for us, but that's why we were saying, like last week I was saying, we kind of respect everybody.
Right.
There's no such thing as a trap game for us because we take each game very important each week. And I feel like that's why we're having so much success, man. Because we treat each game more and more important, which for us it is. After each win we get, the next game is more important, and that's how it's been going all season.
$132 they came in on the ground, averaging about 4.5 yards a carry. And you know this, for a young quarterback, your running game is your best friend, right? Because now all of a sudden, second and short, you can be creative, and you can really throw the defenses off. And obviously, it wasn't the case yesterday. Look, you look around the NFL right now, and you look around the NFC, and the record speaks for itself: 9 in a row, 10-1. You've got 3 road games coming up. And Seattle suffered a couple losses, some injuries as well with Chancellor going down. Seattle on the road, that 12th man, that's always a tough place to play in. You saw the Rams yesterday with a huge win over the Saints, and then you have to go up to Turnpike, and who knows, maybe the Giants are still fighting for their head coach, and they're playing with some guts and pride. These are 3 very tough road games. I think this is kind of where, and I say this not tongue-in-cheek, but with respect, where we really see where you guys are. We know you're a very good football team. We know you're 10-1. But to me, to go on the road and win in the NFL is the toughest thing to do.
Oh, no doubt. It's definitely one of the hardest things to do. And I felt like last year that's where we were weak at. We didn't win another road game. Honestly, I think we won 1 out of all of them. And that was it. And so for us, the road means a lot for us, man, because obviously we're trying to get this home field advantage.
Right.
That's our next goal, so we're trying to clinch that. So obviously these games are important for us, but just seeing the growth for us as a team to the way that we play this year on the road, it's a big difference. It's a big difference, and we look forward to this challenge, man. We're gonna take on this challenge and prepare like no other. And because we know these next 3 games, these next 50 games are very important for our season. So we just want to take that and keep it important. I mean, like you say, after each win, it's going to get bigger. So we go out here and we have the business in Seattle like we're supposed to. After that, the Rams game, even bigger. Everybody's going to be watching that one.
Yeah, that's a huge game. Two of the Seattle games, prime time Sunday Night Football. That's a huge game. That's a national audience again.
Yeah, so it's exciting, man. Just being able to have the opportunity to keep being able to showcase what we can do and put that on a national stage, and just keep the momentum going, man. We're striving right now. Obviously, we're the first team in the league with 10 wins, and we're just rolling, man. We're hot right now. I think we're hot. We couldn't be hot at a better time.
And the irony is the only road win you mentioned last year was on the road early on against Chicago when you guys start off 3-0. Everyone, when the Eagles fans call up or they text in the show and they always want to know what's the difference, from a football standpoint, I look at last year, and again, I don't want to belabor a point, but you guys were not – I just think there was – first of all, I think you're a more talented team. And I think, that's clear and evident, especially on the offensive side of the ball and the acquisitions defensively as well. But closing out games, which to me, it shows a sign of maturity. It also shows that the head coach now is not only getting his feet wet, but he understands he's putting the players in best position to make plays. And at the end of the day, what do you have to do? You have to execute. And I pointed this out. You guys, you're getting teams off on 3rd down, and the offense is converting on 3rd down. And everything else is kind of smoke and mirrors. But when you look at the difference from last year to this year, do you kind of agree with that sentiment?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Our 3rd down ratio right now has been great. That whole first half, we was just getting off the field quick. And it was great to see us how we was just getting off the field and just giving our offense opportunity to be able to go score. And they were able to get that done. Man, it's just been fun to see, how we can just get off the field so fast, and maybe as soon as they get out there, they can just go score right now, back out there.
Yep.
Because they pretty much can score at will. And like you said, that was the growth in us. We're a more talented team. We gave Carson a lot more help on the offensive side of the ball with the additions we made this off season. And then on defense, we got what our weakness was. I felt like our weakness from last year was probably our corners, and we made that adjustment. We got more talent at corners, and guys have stepped up and played well all year.
I also noticed, too, there's no egos on this team. Look, there's 53 different personalities. There are egos, but at the end of the day, they're not guys, complaining or whining on social media. Well, when you're 10-1, you're 10-1 and everyone's happy. But, about worrying about touches or reps or this or that or the other thing. You go running back by committee. Deuce has done a heck of a job getting these guys his touches. And all of a sudden now defensively, all right, am I going to plan for LeGarrette, who runs angry? Ajayi, who runs angry but can cut a little bit. Corey, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. Barner, who's a good special teams player, but if we need to give him some carries. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this? Like, when you look at it, it's like, guys know that, I mean, defensively, you say to yourself, oh, my God, now I got to deal with this guy. Now they're running this guy off tackle. I mean, egos are set aside, and typically that happens when you have these types of years.
And that's what we say, man. We just be like, have you ever seen a movie Paid in Full?
One more time, Nigel, I'm sorry.
You ever seen a movie Paid in Full?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, that's our little motto. We just be like, everybody eats, so we just spread that around the locker room. And that's how them boys feel about the ball. They just, well, you can tell when they run it, each one of them is trying to score every time they get it. And that's what you love to see. I mean, you love to see that. Like, I love to see that when I'm watching LeGarrette get the ball. He's trying to score every time he gets it. I'm watching.
Look at you.
He get it, and he's hitting stretches on the sideline.
Yes.
He's breaking free,
It's fun to watch, though, because I think any team that can run the football in the NFL, to me, when you run the football with success, you're basically you're owning that. The offensive line is owning in the trenches. And you're breaking another team's will and spirit, especially when you can run out the clock. And they know they got to pick up a couple tough yards, and we know it's coming, and the defense can't do anything about it.
Can't do anything about it.
No.
We got control of the game, and that's how we see it. We're able to run the ball like that, and fortunately, we've been able to do it almost every game.
That's another difference from last year, too. Not a lot of 100. I think, a couple games you had Matthews here and there, 75, 70. Not a lot of 100-yard rushing games last year. That's
right.
Yeah, one of the differences this year. By the way, good job by you quoting a Mekhi Phifer movie. That's a good reference. Listen, how about
that's what we do.
How about Russell Wilson? Just the challenge of Russell Wilson, and then all of a sudden a young quarterback in golf. When we talk about the progressions and the maturation process of Carson, look what the kid's doing with the Rams. But how about next week in that test on the road against Seattle and Wilson, who I think he's such an underrated quarterback because we're so drawn into stats. But like Carson, like Cam Newton, like Luck to a certain extent, Mariota and Winston, he extends plays with his legs. And you gotta know sometimes that the pocket starts to collapse. You gotta have really good gap discipline.
Oh man, this one. For us, we're gonna really have to be able to collapse on that pocket, man, and try to keep him in there. Just make it close down on him to where he can't escape. I'm pretty sure we'll have some kind of spy on him. I've been watching a couple of the games this season. I've seen a couple of guys that have been spying him already. So
you don't want him on the run, though, Nigel. You don't want him breaking the pocket, especially on the run.
You don't, but you know what? Sometimes you can't help it. Like. You want to kind of close the pocket on him, but sometimes he still escapes that, he'll find some kind of seam a little bit, just even if he steps up or he just hits that little seam on the outside, because he's pretty much kind of like a running back.
Yes.
So it's kind of like we're going to try to close the pocket on him, but you still have to have eyes on him just in case he breaks that part,
because there's always a threat too when they do the read option a little bit, like Cam in Carolina. He always poses that threat, and he's very good at the play action as well. I've noticed that he can really hide the football.
Yeah, he can, and he's been doing that. I actually had a chance to come out with him, and I played against Rams since college, and we came out the same year and in the league the same year. So I've been playing with him since his rookie year, obviously, and it's amazing to see how good he is, obviously, and how good he can, man. But we gotta just figure out a way, because we feel like we had them last year, man.
Yep.
And that game slipped away from us. We just couldn't close, but we definitely had them, and so we just gotta take advantage of that, man. We know we're gonna be in the same situation. We're going back out there in Seattle this year. And we got to keep him in that pocket, man, and not let him scramble. He throws unbelievably well on the run. I think his completion rate on the run is like 70-80%, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but I don't think I'm mistaken on that. But I know it's up there. It's pretty high.
Did you I know you watch the games on Thursday. I'm just your thoughts on Minnesota, the way they're playing right now. Again, especially with a journeyman quarterback. They lose their quarterback and their running back. Yeah,
that's tough, man. That's tough. And I heard from one of my best friends actually play over there, Xavier Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's been playing well. He ended up closing out that game with the pick. And I mean, it's a good to see them excel, man, because obviously we played them last year and they were doing great last year as well. And we actually beat them.
Yeah, you did. Beat them in Philly. Yeah, you smothered Bradford that game.
Yeah, so we took pride in that game. But we look forward to trying to get to the playoffs and making them come back to Philly, maybe.
Well, you got three very interesting games. Listen, I want you to hear this soundbite. I only have one bone because I like to leave you on a positive note, so when you hang up the phone, you don't get too aggravated or frustrated with me. So I have one gripe, and I just want you to listen to the soundbite and tell me what you think. Hold on, go ahead. You can't see it. It's electric. You gotta see it. I mean, you looked a little. You looked a little tight there, a little bit with the shoulders. You know, again, and we laugh and listen, when things are going right, you can get away with that kind of stuff. But I was a little surprised. I was looking 53, and I was like, why is he too tight? You got to loosen up a little bit. Yeah, all right. I'll give you a pass on that. All right, I'll give you a pass on that. You know, these excuses.
You should look at 52.
You always do when you come on. I appreciate that. Hey, listen, I always appreciate you having a good personality about it. Keep it up. Good luck on Sunday night. That's gonna be a hell of a game. I mean, those next 2 weeks for you guys. You got to treat them like playoff games. I mean, you really do, because home field advantage, that's everything in the NFL.
Oh, that's everything. I mean, obviously for us, I mean, who wants to play at home?
No, no one wants to go on the road for the playoffs. You know that. Nobody does. You want to be in the confines of your bed with your family. You wake up, you have your routine, you're creatures of habit, and you don't have to go too far.
Yeah, and that's what we'll see. We're going to make everybody come to Philly, man. That's where our mind is at right now. So,
all right. Just remember, though, with the shoulder pads, though, you got to dip down a little bit. Then you kick the right leg up, then you bring the leg back. I'll teach you. I owe you a couple videos in here, so I got to start sending them out to you. I got a couple of them for you.
Man. We're going to correct that this week.
Yeah, please do. Don't embarrass me like that.
We're going to the tape.
All right. I appreciate it, pal. Listen, good luck in Seattle. We'll talk next week. Have a good week.
All right, man. Thanks.